Okay. You've given me the worst day to open it, I see. Welcome to the Ankh-Morpork Historians Guild. Today we will be discussing pyramids, the 7th book or something. My name is Purtis and I use they them pronouns.
My name is Chio and I use she her pronouns.
My name is Mulch and I use they them pronouns. And are we going to talk about him making out with his sister? I want to open out with that.
I think we should open out with context for this recording. I think we should state fully and clearly that we are doing this recording far earlier than we should be.
It's because we're in a heat wave and this is the only time that's not like so hot we're gonna die.
Yep. Yeah, it was the hottest it has ever been yesterday.
It was at 109 degrees, which for Seattle is like
the hottest it has ever been.
It's never been this hot in Seattle before.
Literally.
We're not prepared.
It is melting.
Nobody has
the
AC.
City's infrastructure hot.
My partner their whole family got a hotel for 4 days because they were worried the bird was gonna die, and then they snuck the bird into the hotel.
I would have loved to see that. God.
He screams all the time too, so there was just a screaming illegal bird in that hotel.
We bought a full-ass horse trough.
It probably just sounded like a baby. It probably just sounded like, I don't know, they're abusing their child or something.
Which anyone can ignore.
He does not actually sound like a baby. He sounds very bird. He sounds very bird.
I find most children do.
Oh, never mind.
That's fair. It's fair.
Oh yeah, and the city is literally melting. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like, bits of the infrastructure are melting.
God has abandoned us.
God.
Or God has decided to wake up and pay real close attention.
I don't know. The burning gaze of the sun has melted everything. It started to... I have this plastic patio stuff, and it got wiggly yesterday because it was fucking melting.
Oh no.
We were like, it'll probably be safe to walk on. What a fucking party. Let's talk about this fucking book, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And today, we are probably all the most unprepared that we've ever been.
Yeah,
because I believe we all finished the book, yesterday or early today.
I finished this book 1 minute ago. When I got on this call, I was still listening to the end of the book.
Oh my god.
Power move.
Wait, so how did I finish this book first out of the three of us? That's incredible to me.
The audiobook service that we use was being very difficult to listen to. And also my phone stopped casting audio. It was so fucking hot it started shutting down anything it considered non-essential.
Yeah.
Oh no.
See, mine's stupider. Mine's just my own fault because I was way ahead of you guys in the book because I had a 16-hour road trip that I could listen to it on, but I just fell asleep. I was 1 hour from finishing and I fell asleep, so I got up at 5 this morning to finish the book. And I'm so tired.
That math don't add up, but...
Yeah.
Hell yeah, bro. 5? Why are you up at 5?
I don't know. I get nervous.
I never went to sleep.
Jesus Christ.
We knew this. Okay.
It's still sad.
So about this book, one thing I will say is that one thing that it has going for it is I genuinely enjoyed listening to it and was invested in the story, which I cannot say about let's say, Color of Magic, like, or Mort. So this was a more enjoyable experience for me than those were. It doesn't mean it doesn't have problems.
So here's the thing. I think Pyramids was a very well-written book. Like, I thought the structure was really good. I thought the plotting was good. I thought the characterization was good. And the prose were, of course, excellent as always. It's just like the content of the story I'm conflicted about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the execution was sublime.
I really enjoyed it. I did not think that I was actually going to enjoy this book, but there's so much to really unpack here because it's so phenomenal seeing Terry Pratchett first approach his larger metaphysical concepts, which are, of course, my favorite books. And I think some of his most interesting work.
This feels like the prototype for a type of story he would tell again many times. The one I thought about most was Small Gods.
I mean, he literally picks up a tortoise and is like, "Hey, is there a fucking god in here? It would be whack if there was a god in here, right?" That was like such a wild thing. I was like, "Oh shit!" God. He mentions in his essay that he had been thinking about Small Gods and how to write Small Gods for a very long time.
Yeah. Man, we should do more essays.
We should, yeah, whatever. I'm up at 8. I feel like I'm doing enough.
I mean, not right now, but just in general.
Well, I mean, I meant in general too. Anyways, we should do more essays. I have taken a peek at some of them. I've been entranced in some of them. But yeah. It's fantastic to see these early concepts. There's so many of these things, like a lot of the other books we've read, he returns to later and patches up in new and different ways. But something that I found really interesting was that his philosophy around these metaphysical concepts stays pretty much the same. His basic ideas are all present in here. The one that's like most obvious and which he talks about quite a lot is the malleability of time. Terry Pratchett loves doing that thing.
Which is fitting because the timeline in this book is insane. The timeline and how it fits into the context of Discworld.
It's really wild.
I feel so bad for Dios. I feel like he's not a good dude, but like, it would be nice if he could just like die. I think that would be nice for him. He should go to sleep.
Cool for him. Yeah, I think this is the harshest Terry Pratchett has ever treated a villain.
Yeah.
To get him stuck in a fucking time loop.
Yeah. But at the same time, all he needed to do was make the decision to die.
Yeah, but it's so sad
he had that option basically every night. Yeah.
Well, we
I think,
all do.
The most tragic villain.
Not to get Camus, but like we all have the option to die. It's generally not a good choice.
That's true.
I can't fault him for not dying. I'm gonna say it.
I fault the narrative. I fault the narrative for sticking him in a time loop, not him personally for not dying.
Yeah. Definitely the cruelest. I think the time loop is such a... It's used well, and it's, I think, the only time he uses it. But
I think the only theoretically worse fate for... I think, like, Coin isn't really a villain, but I think his fate was also pretty bad, and he is portrayed as a villain for most of the book. So I feel like that was also pretty harsh. I think Terry Pratchett gets easier on his villains as time goes on.
It's true.
It was harsh, but it was a lot less intentional.
Yeah.
Whereas the harshness of Dios's writing is very intentional and very good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
His Terry Pratchett's characterization in this book is, again, just miles ahead. I'm really glad we're getting into the part of his career where he's really respecting, I feel, what he's good at. I mean, what is
Mm-hmm.
so phenomenal about his work, again, is just that characterization, that feeling of really knowing these people. I also really feel like that
It's
was
so
enhanced by his cognizance of the fact that people don't know what the fuck they're going to do all the time. Like, he touches this a little
yes.
bit when he writes Rincewind, but it doesn't feel as natural because the situations that Rincewind is put into are so outlandish. But in this book, you really get that sense that, like, he is just acting Patepic is really just
Tepic.
acting like full ass on random whims, just like any kid right out of Assassin's School would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works because none of the situations are as absurdist as they are with Rincewind, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God, I loved the assassin test scene.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Absolutely fucked.
yeah.
I actually liked all of the bits that were inside of Ankh-Morpork a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he writes in Ankh-Morpork so well. Like, that's really his city.
Yeah.
Man.
May I belabor one of my pet peeves?
Yes.
So, also, I want to give myself props. I was right. This is the 7th book. I'm so proud of myself. I thought I was so wrong. Anyways, my biggest pet peeve with this sort of story, and it happens an awful lot in fiction, is that they will try and lampoon religion, but will have put their religion in a world where it absolutely makes sense. And it would be, in fact, illogical to not do or believe these things.
Mm-hmm.
In Discworld, there are palpably gods, and you do go where you desire to, or where you believe you do, when you die.
Yeah.
It is completely reasonable to follow this religion. The other thing that he does, which I think is an absolute failing, and something that I wanted to note, normally his stories focus very bottom up, right? It's the men on the ground who are perceiving the grand machinations that are happening around them. You see this in all of the Watch books. You see this in Monstrous Regiment. You see this in even like Moist von Lipwig. You know, even the Tiffany Aching books that I have read can fit into this notion. This one doesn't at all. And it causes major problems with the story because they're painting this like whole religious affair as awful and bad. But the people's lives appear to be pretty good because we never really get to see them. There's no indication in any way, shape, or form that their lives are like hampered or bad because of this. They seem quite happy.
Yeah.
It's kind of
and
whack.
The only people we see, well, that's not true, not the only, but like it is a royal, it's about royals, but it's not like Weird Sisters where it's royal intrigue, but you're really seeing it from the ground up. Like you're really seeing what's going on. Like your main characters are just
Outsiders.
Yeah. It is about a literal king and um and like what's going on with him instead of getting that view from other people in the kingdom.
I'm not really sure that that's the case
Mhm.
because Hmm. All right, I don't really think that's the difference between Weird Sisters and Pyramids. Because I think in both the case with I think both Weird Sisters and Pyramids are told from entirely from the perspectives of people who are in elite positions. Uh, because the witches are not the citizenry per se of Lancre. They are
That's
people
true.
who have a place outside of society. I think the difference is the depiction of culture and the people within the culture.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where even though we're not seeing Lancre and the kingdom and the royal intrigue from the perspective of the actual citizenry of Lancre, we get an impression of who they are and how they interact and how they think. Whereas I never felt like the kingdom of Djelby,
Jelly baby. It's a joke. It's a candy.
J- yeah, Djelby wasn't never felt like an actual place. It felt
And I feel
there's
like
and it's actually like I think the thing that makes me most uncomfortable about the story
Absolutely.
is the sort of I guess like caricature of ancient Egyptian culture and society,
yeah,
Yeah.
the
and the sense that and it
the
doesn't
ra-
I don't think we even get a sense of citizenry at all.
yeah,
Just like
and
individuals within a kingdom.
the regular people of Weird Sisters respond so much more realistically as humans than the regular people of Djella Baby. And like it's not
Yeah.
even like cultural, like you can have cultural differences while still not doing what this did.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
yeah.
Because a lot of the story, I would say a lot of the depictions of culture in this kingdom is basically just pointing, look how weird this is. Look how strange, how uh, alien, how nonsensical, how ridiculous.
How backwards.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yes.
the overwhelming sense that he hones into in this book. I truly is how backwards, how primitive are these people, which he's trying to wrap in because the pyramids trap time or whatever. But it comes off as really horrible. I mean, again, we're
Hmm.
not shown that
Yeah.
they're suffering in any way. If a man wants his hand cut off because he believes in a religion, like, so be it. That's totally fine, especially if you can meet God. Because I think that we should specify that Patepik is not just a king. He is an actual literal god who does godly things
Hmm.
before, like, the part where everyone can do godly things. Like, he is factually a god. He has a
Yeah.
vision and is possessed by a spirit of a god as
Yeah.
the impetus for his return. He is not like a phony god. He is
Yeah.
actually a god, and nobody
Yeah.
is unhappy with this. They embrace it wholeheartedly.
Hmm.
And something that bugs me a lot, and I know this may sound like a silly criticism, but there's Ankh-Morpork, and it is modern Ankh-Morpork in the Discworld canon. It is the up to date under Lord Veterinary with the guilds and whatnot. And then
Hmm.
you've got ancient Egypt and ancient Ephebe.
Yeah, and
And in
again,
later books, like characters go back in time to those eras. And those eras are depicted as being very much like in the ancient past.
Hmm.
And that's like, that bugs me a lot.
to my mind, the reasoning behind that is because he stops using the pyramids. Once the pyramids are undone, time starts to reflow, the country's been the same for 7,000
Well, I
years because
mean,
it got trapped in a loop of itself, as it were.
but that doesn't explain a Phoebe.
Aphib also
The
builds pyramids.
It it doesn't.
No, that's why the pyramid builders are still building pyramids for free because to Jello Baby because the neighboring kingdoms are like, we'll hire you too to build our pyramids.
Because
I
these
thought
guys are the real cream
that
of the
was
crop
the
of
salt.
pyramids. That was what?
That was the salt. That was the other one.
Oh, was it?
To sort.
To
Yeah,
salt?
Phoebe is ancient Greece. Yeah, Phoebe is ancient Greece, and like the reason why I know that this is like the same period is that these same characters, a lot of the same characters shown in a feed in pyramids also show up in uh small gods, which is set like which is very clearly articulated to take place and like long ago.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
if you wanted to really explain it away, you could still just use the pyramids and say that when they couldn't flare off, they were snapping him backwards in time as well. So when he
Yeah, I
was
mean you
locked
could
out,
explain it away,
yeah, I think
But I
it's
but
mean,
pretty.
it's
it
probably
It's
like
but
probably
it's
just that
probably
he
just
didn't give a
like this
shit.
is this world. This
yeah.
world has like very inconsistent chronology,
Yeah,
but it bugs me because they're constantly like because the main character who is born in Jelly Baby is then like schooled in Ankh-Morpork and then comes back. He is constantly comparing Jelly Baby to Ankh-Morpork
yeah,
Mhm.
and unfavorably, specifically pointing out how like primitive Jelly Baby is in comparison.
Mhm.
And that really bugs me that the European coded country that is treated as being like the more modern, more up to date
yeah. I mean,
is
that one
just
is
like
fucking.
set in a completely different era.
Yeah, it does undermine the book. I definitely agree with that. It's this is a weird book, y'all. This is a really weird book. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but his notions are at times so British and so
Mhm.
difficult to kind of look directly at, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
this
think
would have
that's the
worked.
bit that made me so uncomfortable when I was reading it as a kid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
reasonably so. It's inherently of the belief that like anybody who lives unlike us is backwards, is held back. That tradition and timelessness is like a crutch for weak men. Um, it it's engrossed with that notion. This is a whole book for that notion, and it is kind of it's a fucking dick move, and it really goes to show that like where his strengths lie, because I think this book could have been an incredible examination of those concepts if it was fucking bottom up. If we were looking at normal people living in the society who were like, God, I wish things could move forward. God, I wish things could be different. But we have all these priests and we have all these kings, these stupid idiot kings. And like, it feels like he almost tries to do that with, Patachi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Emoto.
But she is like, I mean, we'll talk about her and her presence in this fucking story because God, there's a lot to unpack there, huh?
So I want to say that when the dead king was like, "Oh, she's your sister," I was like, "Oh, thank God, then they won't hook up."
You fucking idiot. You fucking idiot.
This was so. Here's another thing. The other big problem with the story. It is so unnecessarily horny.
Yeah.
He's so
Like, there is no reason for it to be as horny as it is.
What do you think happened in Terry Pratchett's life to make him less horny? Huh? Because at some point he makes a switch. At some point, I'm reading these books and I'm not hearing about every fucking time they get a hard on.
and like this one, it's like I think
Like we
think
never
I'll-
see him piss, but I hear about every hard on. I don't know, man.
And also, like, I mean, horniness is always a lot, but this is
It's so much
horniness
worse.
is very misplaced and uncomfortable.
Yeah, for context for the listener, it is revealed to us, the reader, that they are siblings like pretty early on into both of these characters' introductions. The king says it relatively early, and then we get to watch how fucking rock hard he is for his sister the whole time.
yeah, it's very uncomfortable, and I was like, but they're not gonna hook up. So why is this happen? Like, why does this have to be happening? This is obviously an excuse for two of his characters not to fall in love immediately, like the whole sibling thing. So I don't know why this has to be happening still. Well, I
You were wrong.
I was wrong. I was wrong, and I should feel bad. And I do feel bad because of what happened, which is at the very end, it is implied that he is just. I think it's implied that he stays in Bee's king by marrying his sister. Like, that is the implication, right?
Oh,
I had picked up
that
that he
could
was
be
gonna.
how you.
I didn't interpret it that way, but it's a much more horrifying way to interpret it.
Like, that was so. It seems like so they were talking.
You
They were
could
talking.
interpret it that way.
I choose
They were
not to.
talking. No, guys. They were talking about whether he was gonna stay or leave. Before there had been like allusions to it would be, it would be great if you had a sister to marry, like your aunt, no, but it would be great if you had a sister to marry. He does have a sister. They discuss whether or not he's gonna stay or leave and how that would work, and then they kiss.
A chaste kiss by camel standards.
Doesn't matter. I mean, she's obviously gonna fuck his friend anyway. But the implication is that they get married and he stays on as king. That is my interpretation. That was my interpretation, and I think I'm right, and I don't like it.
There is grounds narratively to think that is a correct interpretation.
Yeah, it
but
absolutely
is like
could be. I really just
very
don't want
vague
it.
and very. It was so vague and so abrupt to a point where I had to actually, like, after I'd finished, go back and reread to figure out, because I couldn't remember what had happened.
Yeah.
Because it's just so abrupt and doesn't really feel resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with he doesn't fuck his sister. Just for, like, my health.
I don't think he fucks her. I think
But
she
the
fucks his
problem
friend.
If
But I
it's-
think
if
they
it's
do get
just-
married.
If it's just marriage, I can accept that.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's actually, the more I think about it, the more grounds I think I have to think that they get together. Because the thing is, the ancient Egyptian royalty actually kind of
Yeah,
married their siblings a lot.
That's the whole point, that they talk about that when they're talking about who's going to marry, and he's like,
Marriage
no,
is
I'm not
one
going to do
thing.
that. But yeah, but you're right.
But they wouldn't have gone into so much detail about how horny he was.
I mean, I assure you, from all we have read, he would in fact go into how horny he was. No, basically, no matter what. Essentially, no matter what.
God.
Uh,
Speaking of how horny it
and
is,
they like have the constant like.
speaking of how horny he was, let's talk about one of the worst parts of this book. The real worst part of this book, which is that one of the best traits that he sees in his sister is how absolutely fucking stupid she is.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
no narrative guide. Like, there's no reason to think that she's stupid. She doesn't
I know,
do
right?
anything that's stupid. She
That
doesn't
was really
appear to be stupid. But we are
She's
told by him at length how absolutely rock hard it makes him that she's stupid.
and she does, and that frustrated me too, because the way he's describing her just doesn't have any bearing on her actions. Which is what you just said, but like, it's so frustrating
It's
because, like,
insane.
and I actually like her a lot,
I do too.
but I fucking hate the way he describes her, and I hate being in his head when we're around her because he's wrong.
Not only
And
is he wrong, he's just like irredeemably horny about it. I
yeah,
really can't express how many times this dude says it was her dumbass. She just babbles all the fucking time. She's really bad at everything, and it makes every man around her so horny. And it was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, holy shit. Her singing was so bad that the old king was brightened by having her stop, and that's why she was one of his favorites. Like,
yeah.
what in the
Okay,
goddamn?
okay. And backing that up, it's actually like it's I thought it was more implied that like, hey, she's his daughter, so he just hangs out with her.
It was
And like it's not
later.
It was later on, but he does literally, the first introduction to her is that he thinks about his favorite handmaiden, and he's like, and that is the literal line he says, is that because he's her favorite because the world seems so much brighter after she's done singing. Like, that's the
oh god. Now I remember that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
actual line as our Okay, I can hear you again.
welcome back. It's rough. It's really difficult. The ways, like him being horny sucks. It's never my favorite. But the ways in which he is horny, especially in this book, is like so alienating and disgusting that like it is difficult to process.
Yeah, and the thing is, I like this character other than that, but that makes it hard. That makes it a little difficult to like this character. Like,
A little.
just a little bit. But other than that, I like him. So it's so unfortunate. It's just
It's really bad. This book this book is good. I don't want to we're very negative people. So it's hard to express this. But I actually did enjoy this book. It was nice to
Yeah.
read. It was pleasant. I was excited. But the
to
closer
be fair, I don't
inspections,
think this is us. I think this is just like a deeply conflicting book.
yeah.
I think it is. I think it is. I just
Well,
don't. I
okay,
just
and
don't.
literally wasn't this like one of the first books to like to be like really, really successful, even outside of like the sci-fi fantasy community?
I don't think so. He got on the British Big Read with like his second book or something. Let's see. 93rd in the Big Read for Color of Magic, 65th in Big Read for Mort. But Pyramids did get the Science Fiction Award winner. Weird Sisters. I mean, he charts with all of his books, and he gets in the Big Read with the grand majority of them. He is, by this time, pretty recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man.
Again, I think on a technical level, just in terms of the quality of the writing, well, I suppose that's a little redundant, but I think this is one of the best books we've read of his so far.
Yeah.
No, and the thing is, on my personal list, I am rating this right under Weird Sisters. Like, I enjoyed it more,
I
like
mean,
so
me
much more
too.
than, yeah, I enjoyed it so much more than Mort, which is the next one on the list for me. So just like, but yeah,
Yeah. I
I mean,
think
I
that you're...
feel like to me, it's not even difficult placing this that high, even with all of my problems, just because it's a book that begins a story and ends that story.
that's
Wait,
it.
I think
That's
that
all we
might be
need.
my
Yeah, I was about to say shoot higher, bro, but go on.
and it's I don't like the theme. The theme makes me uncomfortable, but it's also thematically cohesive.
Yeah,
It's
And it
extremely...
feels like he has a level of control over the theme that he didn't have prior to Weird Sisters.
yeah,
And he has a lot more control over the story, it feels like. Again, this was present in Weird Sisters, but it's something that's really great to see because in all of his other books, we kept running into this problem where it feels just uncontrolled. Like he did not know where the shit this was going the whole fucking time. It was clear
It's
from the
actually
very
kind of incredible to me.
yeah. It was very clear from the
Oh, sorry,
beginning.
because there's you finish, sorry.
It was very clear from the beginning of Pyramids that this was kind of where he was going with the story, that there was going to be a new ruler and a new era of Jelly Baby to move it into the present, quite literally. I will say kindly. And I think he does a good job meeting that expectation and finding ways to make it exciting to move along that journey with him. I think that we're taken to a variety of different locations that felt planned out and had some like really great bits in them. Some really kind of boring bits, but in that traveling, the Ephebe section did not delight me very much. But
yeah.
I I like bits of the Ephebe section. I really like the bits on the pirate ship or the smuggler's raft.
yeah,
Yeah, it was more just
I
the
found that bit just purely
philosopher.
delightful.
yeah, the
Yeah,
philosophers was weird.
yeah,
It was just like it was just unusual.
yeah.
I was not a fan of the Ephebe section.
Yeah.
Though I will say that I did like the bit where they're listening to the world's greatest storyteller recount Ulysses.
Yeah, that part was funny.
That struck me as being a really good gag.
The whole Xenon gags were super weird. And like it's weird to put in this fantasy just like the actual dude, um, and then make him incredibly stupid. Cause like that's a real dude who what lived and like had a massive impact on mathematics and like philosophy. This is like a real dude. Like we actually did have to solve Xenon's paradox. It is something that is still relevant today. It is a very real and like justifiable paradox. But in this version, we meet him in the middle of a fucking desert shooting tortoises, and then getting upset that they don't escape, which is like funny, but also like such an insane thing to do. Because it phrases Xenon's paradox as this absolutely stupid thing when it's like not at all. Like it's reasonable. We actually had to answer that.
I think specifically Terry Pratchett thinks it was stupid and wanted to express that. Oh god, there was also the riddle.
I can see why he's stupid. I can see why he thinks it's stupid because Terry Pratchett is not a fan of God. And Xenon's paradox, if I remember correctly, was very much kind of about, his paradoxes were kind of about poking holes in reality and finding logical inconsistencies towards the purpose of proving the existence of God. But I could be misremembering that.
You are. I mean, Xenon's paradox is actually accurately described in this piece. If two objects are moving next to or moving one after the other, one can't hit the other because the other must move forward by a certain amount. Even, so something will never hit something. It will paradoxically get infinitely closer.
Yeah, see, the thing is, that I found that interesting that when he was describing it, that I was like, yeah, that's true. Like that sounds like it would work, like that it makes sense. But like he's just like shooting tortoises, and you have to shoot where they were while they're moving consistent. Like you're just shooting wrong. You're shooting the wrong place to prove your theory.
No. By the time the arrow reaches where the turtle was at the time that you launched the arrow, by the time the arrow reaches where the turtle was in the last tick, the turtle will have moved infinitesimally further. So the arrow will have to move that much further to hit the turtle. But in the time that it takes, that's Xenon's Xenon. That's his paradox.
Yes. No, I got that. It's just it's not working because it would have to be so specific the way that you shot the turtle with the arrow for it to work.
Kind of. So Xenon's paradox. This is really Xenon's paradox. I have to go to bat for. Because it is an early example of some of our fundamental understandings about the universe now. Because what he's talking about is kind of an inertial frame of reference. These two objects moving together and how that interacts with each other. We actually did have to solve this because it is logical. And we had to approach in physics like why the fuck things hit each other. Not only for like tortoises and arrows, but for light and the planet and all of this. Because nothing should hit each other that's moving together.
Okay.
Moving on.
No.
About the bits that I liked in Ancient Defeat.
Okay, I guess we can move on and come back to. I want to know more about this, but okay, go on.
We can send you links after the we can send you some links and you can put them inside of the notes for the podcast
Okay.
or the
Okay.
YouTube video.
Um,
I like the bits with Pythagoras.
Yeah,
Fuck me.
Pythagoras.
How do you pronounce his name?
Pythagoras.
Pythagoras. I like the bit with him just like absolutely drunk and angry that pi is the way that it is.
Yeah, that one felt very, very small.
And wishing for it just... Yes, I like that so much.
Also,
Just being
actually,
angry that pi keeps on going.
as I recall,
Yeah.
actually reflective of Pythagoras' writing. Who was not super
Man.
happy with this sort of thing.
yeah.
I can vibe with that so hard.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, Pythagoras in real life did actually believe that mathematics were, like, sacred and the principle of all things and the answer to, like, gods and kings and everything. So that part was both accurate and incredibly amusing, that he just made Pythagoras this, like, weird sad boy who is staring
Yeah.
at a pie and measuring it in anger.
Yeah. Oh,
And
thinking of
wishing
things.
for an alternate universe where circles made sense or
Yeah.
were better designed.
Yeah. God, thinking of things that Terry Pratchett just thought were stupid and put in that they were stupid. I've always hated that stupid riddle that the Sphinx gives. The whole like what walks on 4 legs in the morning, on 2 legs in the afternoon, and on 3 legs in the evening. Like, I've always hated that. You don't get the correct amount of information. Like, it's just so misleading. And I'm really glad that Terry Pratchett stuck in a fuck you
That's
to that.
literally how all riddles are.
I was about to say that
That's
is
just how
what
all
a
riddles
riddle
are.
is.
No, it's
That's what a
Fuck
riddle
that.
is.
no, it's bad. It's bad. Like,
A riddle
it's
isn't supposed
just-
to be just a description of a
No,
thing.
no.
it's supposed to be a puzzle. I
I
feel
mean-
like I think it should be a puzzle, and I've always hated that one specifically. And I really
Well-
felt validated by that whole scene.
I mean, like, it is not any different from any other riddle I've ever heard.
Well, then riddles are bad.
They're
and I'm
supposed to be
sorry.
like... Yeah, Mulch, I think you just don't like riddles. Because
Well, if they're all like that one, then yeah.
Man, you remember how we were
I
asking...
think they're designed to be, like, lyrical, I guess.
They can be lyrical and not just lies. It's just a lie.
But it's not a lie. It's
No,
just very vague.
No, it is a lie because it specifically says, it's specifically referring to the times of day, when it's actually referring to periods of life, and it's just a straight up misleading lie, and I don't like it.
Mulch, that's allegory.
Hey,
It's a common literary tool.
You remember how we were looking for a sign-off thing? I think our sign-off thing should be Mulch trying to answer a riddle. Just like a little riddle at the end of every single one of these fucking episodes.
I know. Listen, I don't like allegories or whatever the fuck they're called.
This is a
Hey,
literary
listen.
review podcast. You can't say
Listen.
that.
No, listen. I first heard that riddle when I was like 6 years old, and you cannot say that to a 6-year-old and expect them to understand that it's a fucking allegory. Like, you're just cheating them. You're just being mean. There's no way
Well-
they're gonna figure it out.
I mean, I don't think you're... I mean, you can solve riddles. I just don't think the point of riddles is necessarily to be solved.
They're puzzles. That's what they are. They're little puzzles.
Well, they're puzzles, but they're also poetry. It's sort of like if you read a mystery novel, the goal isn't necessarily to solve the mystery novel, but there is a pleasure in looking at the answer and then going back and seeing how it makes sense, even if
the point of the book is to solve the mystery, though. Like, that's what they're trying to do the whole book.
Mulch, I promise you, all riddles are like this. Wait,
I hate
what?
that.
What are... Wait, but you're not necessarily supposed to solve a mystery as you're reading it.
Well,
but you are supposed to be able to look... But you are supposed to be able to look at the answer in the... The answer is supposed to surprise you in a mystery novel.
But you're still trying the whole time to figure it out. And, like,
yes,
the clues
but
in a mystery novel doesn't lie to you. The riddles lie to you and expect you to still know the answer.
They don't give
I have
you...
some bad news about mystery novels for you.
Mystery novels.
I have some wicked bad news about mystery novels.
Mystery novels mislead
actually...
you, but everything that happens is what's really happening. They don't. They may like. Okay, we're spending too much time on this.
Well, you don't know what a puzzle is.
You guys are wrong.
I think I've learned some fascinating.
We can spend more time on this. The whole episode's about this now.
Terry Pratchett agrees with me.
Terry Pratchett is a satirist who picks apart puzzles. That's his whole shebang.
The point of that scene was necessarily supposed to prove that this riddle was bad.
This riddle was bad.
I think he was just making fun of the Sphinx. I don't think he was saying the riddle was bad.
No, he was saying the riddle was bad.
And it's not.
Y'all are wrong.
That is not... That riddle was not any more misleading than any other riddle.
Well, then
I'm browsing a list of the most famous riddles. Are you
sure we can't do some riddles?
Then riddles are bad.
We should definitely do that.
All right. I'm going to read a riddle at the end of this episode.
At the end of...
I have a riddle picked out. This one you might like a little bit more.
Okay.
But next week, I'm giving you Samson's riddle, and you're gonna really, really hate it.
I'm gonna hate you. My hate will expand exponentially.
Michi, remind me, Samson's riddle next week.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What were we talking about?
Probably the book that we're supposed to talk about, or whatever. Something stupid like that.
So maybe we should talk about the Sphinx scene, which I thought the scene was really clever. I like the idea that the Sphinx is guarding the not the literal gateway of the Jelly Baby, but the gateway into sort of the weird dimension that it is in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A combination of the enhancement of belief and the sideways time dimensions means that the Sphinx can exist and it guards that area. It was a really, really cool idea. The fast talking way he gets past the Sphinx is like so very classic.
Yeah.
And it's such a good way to leave kind of Ephebes and its weirdness. Like, it was a great way to sign off kind of that area where you couldn't talk shit directly to the philosophers.
Yeah.
To just, like, kind of shit on another one for a little bit. was a great way to sign that off. I thought it was a really well done
Yeah.
scene. The dialogue was super snappy.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. It was
I also
fantastic.
thought the voice actor did a great job with that for the book on tape.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, mad shout out to this
Uh,
voice actor who does a lot
I
of these books.
yeah.
He does a really good job.
we should probably name him, but I can't remember his
Yeah,
name.
I was trying
Despite
to
the
think
fact
his,
that
I
I've heard
was
it so many times.
I was trying to think of his name.
I think it was Nigel Planer.
No, I thought that was a different one. That one also does. Let me
Yeah.
look it up.
I mean, whoever it is, he's probably famous enough already, yeah?
Yeah.
It is Nigel Planer.
Niger Blame. Okay, it is.
Yep. And he is famous
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
I really like the bits where they're on the smuggler ship.
Yeah. Like,
I just found that entire scene delightful.
Yeah.
Even with its weird sheen of horniness. I just
Yeah.
like his Ankh-Morpork friends a lot from Assassin's School.
I know. I wish they'd brought the other one back to Arthur.
Yeah.
Man.
Also, can I clarify how long? So he was at the Assassin's Guild for 4 years, right?
I thought it was longer than that.
I think so.
I think he said 7 years.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. I was trying to figure it out because, like, I couldn't really
'Cause
tell
he
how
was-
old he was. He was only 12 when he left.
Yeah, I thought he said 7 years, but I could totally be wrong.
7 years would make a lot more sense
Mhm.
with how, like, I guess, like,
I mean, he doesn't mind 16-year-olds.
one
acting like
aspect
that.
of the I want to say that one part that I did like about how the contrasts and cultures was written is I liked the God, what's that word? It's not dysphoria, or that sense of being kind of adrift.
Displaced or
Hello?
We're just listening.
Dysphoria. Let me type it out. I think that's the word.
that is just
Yeah, for... Yeah.
I think we're all just like
diaspora.
just
I think
diaspora.
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 Fuck.
Okay. I was like... I no longer know what you're trying to
It's like-
say because you've been trying to find the right word for it. Diaspora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking because
or like
dysphoria is like gender dysphoria, and I was like, I mean, I experience that frequently, but I'm not sure quite what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah.
But you can have dysphoria for lots of things. It doesn't have to all be gender
That's true.
dysphoria. And I thought you were
That's
going to
true.
go into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I did feel like his sense of like being displaced and not really like and knowing that he's not like more Porkian, but at the same time he no longer feels like he's properly a citizen of Djili Baby anymore.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought
Yeah.
that was well written.
Yeah.
Hmm.
His anxieties about that especially, I agree, I thought were really well written. And kind of a surprise in this book. because
Yeah.
and I don't think he does it perfectly. I will say, because something that really bothers me is that, okay, textually we are told that he feels connected to this place, but functionally he has absolutely zero fucking connection to this place, and he like
Yeah.
hates it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that part falls flat for me. But the way he feels internally, this struggle, this like loss of self because of loss of place, I think that reads really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There were you're right that after he got trapped outside of his kingdom, and they were talking about maybe going to Ankh-Morpork. From what we've seen his interactions with his kingdom, I kept on going, like, I know you're not going to go to Morpork because that's not what the story calls for. But I feel like you would, based off of everything you've described
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
feelings.
yeah, and that part was kind of weird. I will also say that like it is a reflection of his colonist mindset that he goes to Ankh-Morpork and just sees that everything is better in every way, and he hates where he's from.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a little wacky, huh?
I did I wish there was more like a discussion of being visibly and obviously foreign inside of. Boy, it feels weird to say I wish there was more racism in this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, but he portrays and talks about explicitly that that oh so clever conception that, oh, we don't care what race you are, we don't care what your people are, as long as you've got the money to spend, as long as you can make it work in our day-to-day life, we don't care about your background. Which, like,
But of course, that's never true.
sure, you fucking sure, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he believes it, so he can't write it otherwise.
God,
Yeah.
talking about Jingo is going to be interesting. I'm
We'll fucking see. I mean, yeah. I'm hopeful. I'm trying to be hopeful.
about Jingo. I will say I've read Jingo, and the discussions on that are going to be interesting. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, I'm gonna be mad, huh? I'm just gonna be angry.
Yeah.
Just gonna be sitting in my backyard
I've gotta
smoking and
say-
reading this fucking book like a fucking maniac.
I love that scene where it's that kid who's doing his prayers before bed.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah.
And
That
he
was
brings in a
Arthur.
live goat to sacrifice it.
That dude's fucking kicking.
That was
Yeah, and
that
then
was
like
so
the whole,
good.
and then how it's just treated as like babyish
The
to
world
be
would be
doing
a better place with more.
people did their evening prayers. Like it's just treated as so wholesome and like goody two shoes. It was excellent.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was
that
such a
was killer.
bonding moment for the boys too. I think
Yeah.
that like it was such a pivotal scene for the whole setting of the Assassin's
I know.
Guild. Because like
I know.
it was hard. I think it would be hard to show why they're bonded to each other in such a short amount of time. But that simple action of like both tying in the book's themes and tying in the characterization of these individual boys and their relationship to each other, I mean,
Yeah.
it was fantastic. You know, we
they
have
did a
no
really
He
good
did
job.
so much.
I really wish
Yeah.
that they'd stuck around. Like I wish his assassin friends had stuck around. Like
I get that urge, but I think it also worked really well in that placelessness, in that feeling lost and
Yeah, I think.
disconnected. Um, he had
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
formed a bond with these boys, and we're shown that bond through this prayer scene, both their
Hmm.
acknowledgement of their differences and the willingness to absolutely go the fuck to bat for each other in
Yeah.
a completely brutal
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
Especially because that kid goes fucking hog wild. He goes fucking barbarian mode later.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that
No,
the
I agree.
Ankh-Morpork scenes are really such a shining example of his work. How quickly he can characterize and show the connections between little people.
Yeah.
I wish he'd done more of that in this book, but that's because I'm greedy. Um,
No, me too.
I think a lot of his
Um,
philosopher king ideals are
Oh,
brought up
again,
again in this book. Were, were you gonna say something?
yeah. I was gonna say that you say that, but a lot of the ideas here are ones he's going to return to later.
Oh,
So we
absolutely.
are going to get to see like more of these more of these great ideas, and um a lot of them attached to themes and settings I find like more appealing.
hmm
Absolutely. I mean, I like it when he stays in Ankh-Morpork because God, he's got a really colonizer's mindset, and
Yeah.
it's less of a problem when all the people you're looking at are British.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, it's a hell of a book. I liked it. I really did.
Yeah.
Do we have anything smart to say?
It's actually I've got to say that's genuinely I don't know what happened between like right sorcery and weird sisters because those two books were written in the same year. But I don't know, something clicked. Because from here on out, I looked at the book list and like it's like something clicked with him and he suddenly figured out how to structure like he gained a lot more control over his stories, ideas, and characters.
hmm It's like he just poured all the bad stuff into sorcery and he just couldn't, it couldn't grow back fast enough to. uh,
I mean, we joke, but I think that it is kind of that watershed where he is really deciding, like, what the fuck is Discworld going to be? If I'm going to keep writing these books, where am I going to go? Who am I going to be? Sorcery is the first book which truly expands the world. Um, Weird Sisters, he goes back and revisits the witches, sans wizards, sans what the series has been. And Pyramids is a further move away from those
yeah.
first couple books. I really
Yeah.
feel like Sorcery and Weird Sisters, that year of 1988, is where he's really deciding, like, Discworld is going to be the world I write in. What is that world? Um, who are the people in it? In a much more exacting way. Not people like, you know, random ass scenes, but people like the actual motherfuckers who are down there.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
I think
And
that this
and when
is
I say
absolutely.
better control, I like these are such well plotted. This and Weird Sisters were just so well plotted and so precise and just really tightly written.
Yeah, I
And it's
mean,
just astonishing.
I think he's deciding that he does want to focus on stories, that jokes really are secondary, that the
Yeah.
stories he can tell by themselves contain a humor in his examination of our condition, of ourselves, you know, and that the story has to be the central thing, that we have to love these people to laugh at them, that we have
Yeah.
to truly
Yeah.
recognize ourselves in the places and people that we encounter, to laugh, to be truly satirical, because that was a really the biggest problem in Color of Magic and Light Fantastic is he's trying to pull these laughs out of you by dropping absurd and often uncomfortable scenes on you, and they're funny enough for sure. He's definitely got a mind for wit, but it's not what his greatest strength is. Satire, the distortion of ourselves is, and he cannot do that without thinking about the story he's going to tell, without creating a whole idea of the philosophy he's putting forth. Because that's the
Yeah.
thing about satire, right? It is the most difficult form of humor because it is so naturally intertwined with our philosophy and our actions. What we think is ridiculous in our world is fundamental to who we are. And it was so upsetting in his early books to see reversals of that philosophy in the text. Because he just hadn't been thinking of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad we're
So
going to
let's rank
Ankh-Morpork.
this baby.
It's second for me.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
second for
yeah.
me too.
Guards. Oh yeah, second.
So, on our list, that puts it below Weird Sisters. So that's Weird Sisters, Pyramids, Light Fantastic, Mort, Equal Rights, Color of Magic, and finally Sorcery.
Yeah.
God, I hate
Yep.
Rincewind.
I can't believe he goes back to Rincewind at some point. Like after, he's just such a better writer. Why would he want to? I feel like he could just leave it behind.
Well, don't worry, we're not going to have another Rincewind book for 10 books.
That's pretty great.
So in 6 months, you'll have to read Interesting Times.
Are you sure?
Uh,
No, that's not true. Eric is after guards.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about Eric. Eric's not a real book.
Eric is very short.
Yeah, it is. That'll be an easy week for us.
Yeah.
And it's got pictures.
And it's got pictures. Well, let's speed through that one.
Yeah.
They're very good pictures. It's illustrated by Josh Kirby.
What a fucking hero. I really love
Oh
that
man,
dude.
we're getting a lot of vet books coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the era of like I am broadening and making this a real world because we also get moving pictures pretty shortly.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
excited.
that one's interesting.
I'm excited for Moving Pictures because I've never read that before, but I've heard it's good.
I've also never read Moving Pictures. It's the only Industrial Revolution book I've never touched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have read all of the books except for Shepherd's Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. So.
Well, Pyramids you hadn't read for 10 years. So.
Yes. And even then, in retrospect, I think I left it half finished.
Yeah, because you were really
like
downplaying this book before we got it.
Yeah, the racial elements made me real uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
I was really uncomfortable with the depiction of ancient Egyptian culture.
No, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. He literally talks about how
And I think
backwards
it's
and stupid
worse.
they are all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's especially bad in the first half of the book.
Yeah. This is only because the conclusion of it is that they give up literally everything that they know to advance like Ankh-Morpork.
Yeah, but it isn't like every other sentence going, here is a thing that the ancient Egyptians do. Isn't this freakish, weird, grotesque, etc.?
Stupid. I mean, he literally just calls him an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
the scene where
Yeah.
the scene where he fucks up his duty and shakes some dude's hand, and so the dude's like, fuck, now I have to have my hand cut off because that's what I believe. And he's like, you stupid piece of shit, I fucking hate you, this is your fault. You're like, okay, but you don't know the like basic religion of your own fucking kingdom. Like, you lived here, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that
what the
also
fuck?
struck me as weird. I feel like the story would probably have worked a lot better if he had left at a much younger age.
Yeah. He somehow believes that a 12-year-old has no connection, but that's like really, really late. Like, a 12-year-old immigrant has connection to where he's come from.
I think he also just like, I think Terry Pratchett has a very like blobby view of children because
Yeah.
he tends to write them as either being way too old or way too young.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like that's
Like,
inherent in
first-
adulthood.
Yeah, but I mean, he was like, I think his first book with Tiffany Aching, she was 9 years old and acted like she was
30.
12, 13 years old. And then the next book, she's 12 years old and acts like she's 16,
Yeah.
and on and on.
You mean marrying age.
Oh God.
I mean, life just does move faster for him, right? Like, that's part of it, right? Is like, he does have a blobby picture of childhood because, you know, to him, childhood is over 2 years earlier than it would be for us. And hey, I'm 22 and I'm still like,
Yeah.
kid, you're just starting out. Whereas for him, that's
I
like,
think Escarina. I think Escarina is still like is his most realistic child character,
by far.
Yeah.
or the one who feels like most age appropriate.
Yeah.
Mhm. You're 22. How old are you,
I'm 22.
Curtis? You're the youngest one here. That's so bizarre to me.
Mulch, I've always been the youngest one here.
I
That
thought you
is
were
true.
I thought you were the same age as me.
No, I've always been younger than you.
No,
I
remember
I mean,
Curtis skipped
by-
2 grades.
No, I thought that in 4th grade that you were the same age as me.
I know, but you know,
Oh.
I've been older than you the whole time. Or
Older
younger.
than me.
Fuck.
You mean younger?
Jesus
Oh.
Christ. Sorry.
Bizarre.
I've always known that you were 3 years younger than me,
Yeah.
because that's like a big age gap when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I guess I was pretty.
Okay, you definitely had some idea because we've definitely talked about my birthday before.
Yeah, well,
It's
I
been
forgot.
10 years, bro.
I've forgotten multiple times, I'm sure. But
I'm
yeah.
25. My brain
I'm
is as developed as it's ever going to be, and this is deeply upsetting to me.
Yeah, I'm 24.
You know, on the plus side, I am turning 23 soon.
Yeah.
Ish. My birthday is in like 32 days.
Oh yeah, you should.
What was that? Whoa.
Are you gonna be in? If you're in Seattle, what the? Is that a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
there's-
Strudel,
Yeah,
don't
that's a
bite
cat.
me. I'm supposed to shriek really loud when he bites me, but I'm on testosterone, so my voice keeps cracking instead of like letting me shriek.
Do it like a quick mute.
Oh,
like
no.
a quick sound. A sharp, quick sound. Like a
I'm
think
trying
like
my-
a bird.
No, I can't. That's the thing. My voice won't do it. It's like I lost the ability.
No, it takes practice, but you can still do it. I swear to you.
I'll
It's
do
like
my
you're going
best.
through second puberty.
It's weird.
I am literally going through second puberty.
I mean,
Yeah.
poggers. I took my Spiro on this call actually.
Oh wow.
All right. Let's do a sign
Okay.
off. Let's do a sign off.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we've gotten.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our sign off is now a riddle. Mulch, are
I
you
hate
ready?
you.
Are you ready?
No. No.
As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks. Each sack had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were there going to St. Ives?
Reread it.
As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7
Okay.
sacks. Each sack had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were there going to St. Ives?
1.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I figured there'd be something like that if I had you reread it. It's much easier on the reread to know.
You know, of course.
Next
week, though, you're really gonna get upset.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
You're
I
gonna
know
be
this.
real mad.
See, but that one was just that one wasn't a lie. That one was it was trying to trick you, but it wasn't a lie.
Oh yes, that's why you're going to hate the next one.
I hate you already. I don't hate you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I just don't like riddles.
This next week's riddle
Oh,
is really quite old. And
God.
you're gonna really
Next
get it.
week, are we doing guards or are we doing role playing?
We're doing role playing because
Yeah, we're doing role.
can't commit to reading a book in 1 week.
Yeah, I will have
Week
something.
after that. Week after that, we're in for a real treat because we're doing guards.
I know. I'm really excited for that, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
The introduction of the legendary Sam
Because
Vibes.
I feel like the guards are my friends. Like it's for me it's like the most familiar comfy cast.
I mean, they're literally
of
our
any of
childhood
the
heroes.
Well, not for me because I only read it like a year ago.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, they're literally childhood heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Vibes is iconic and is a huge influence on like how I think about people and the world. I'm really excited to be able to revisit and discuss them, and him in particular.
I'm so excited. All right, I want to sign off and turn on the air conditioner.
Yeah, and probably go to sleep, right?
Oh yeah, I'm also looking forward to sleep.
The way you
just
say
as
that.
An after. I'm looking forward to my first class lecture in half an hour.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, joy.
Why'd you wake up at 5,
I have a good one.
Because I was stressed out about class.
And then you had a Red Bull, huh?
And this. Yeah. Well, I just had a Red Bull. I hadn't had any coffee until right before this.
Rip to your anxiety disorder, homie.
Yeah. I'm thinking about taking Ritalin too, which will be a fun experience with the caffeine.
Oh, no. That'll fuck you up so bad, Molt. Please.
I know, but like... I can't pay attention to lectures. Like, I stopped being able to hear them without Ritalin. Maybe I could draw or something instead.
I'll be the same.
I would... if possible, I would try, like, doing something with your hands. Like, drawing or whatever, instead of taking a Ritalin.
Yeah.
Because the Ritalin might fuck you up so bad when combined with the caffeine that you may not be able to concentrate on the lecture anyway.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen too. So I'll try drawing instead. Okay, signing off.
Signing off.
Bye.
Bye
See you
bye.
later,
Bye.
homies.